So back at IntoMobile Towers in the UK, today we're taking a bit of a look at the HTC Legends hardware. To start off with a quick look at that compared with a couple of other devices. So here on the left we've got Apple iPhone 3G, S in fact. This is the HTC Legend, and this, long way up, is the Nokia X6. We're at a slight angle here, but as you can probably see, they are pretty much roundabout the same sort of height, I guess is the right dimension to mention. However, you can see from this that in fact the screen sizes are somewhat different. So we've got probably the largest screen here being the iPhone, and there's noticeably so a bit of an absence of buttons on it as well. You've still got, you can probably see from this slight shadow here, a bit of a chin on the Legend, but we'll come to that in a minute. And probably the smallest screen just about, and certainly the narrowest screen belongs to the X6. That doesn't of course reflect necessarily on the pixel count on those screens, just merely the physical dimensions. And a sparsity of buttons I think you can see across these as well. So certainly the most sparse, one button on the iPhone. You've got 4 and an optical track mouse which also you can press on. And then finally on the X6, 3 buttons across the bottom. But let's discard those and take a look at this bad boy. So this is the brand new HTC Legend. We'll see if we can get some zoom feature going on that in a minute. But this is the aluminium unibody enclosure with some very interesting styling on the rubber areas. You can see there, I've just come into focus. You've got what looks like a speaker port and the flash and the camera itself, and then you can see the aluminium enclosure continues. There is an area at the bottom and the top which is made of like some kind of like rubberized or high density rubber or high density plastic. Oops, I probably shouldn't drop it. And that will be to allow the various different radios to get some kind of signal. And as we know from the original iPhone, which also had not a unibody enclosure necessarily, but an aluminium enclosure, there were problems with the reception, and that was partly because penetrating the way through that metal case was a real problem. Likewise, I think HTC probably will have taken account of that, and hence they've got 2 areas, front and or rather top and bottom, where the various Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and what have you radios will be able to penetrate out of. On the side here, you've got a rocker switch. It may just about be visible in the video. There you go, plus and minus for up and down volume. And then on the front, much like many Android handsets, you've got a home key, a menu key, a return key, I want to say, and what you could probably consider potentially as a zoom key, but it's not, as a search key. And then this optical mouse. There's not much to it apart from like a small dimple, or I believe they call it a nipple, in the middle, but it does have a depress function where you can obviously press your action key there. So if you select something or select over something by pressing to the side, you can then press down to select. I've got to say the hardware is absolutely lovely. I really like the enclosure. It gives it a real feeling of quality about it, and weight-wise, there's definitely a decent amount of weight there, but it doesn't feel over heavy in the hand. Hardware itself bears a striking resemblance to the Hero, but this is much nicer hardware-wise. And finally, after all that time, after all those HTC proprietary connectors, we've finally got a micro USB connector along with a mic slot, it looks like, and some of the kind of sensors. Finally, we got there with HTC. On the top, we've got the ubiquitous power or standby button and the 3.5mm jack. So we got there in the end with HTC. Standardised jacks all round. Happy as Larry with that, I am. And then let's just see if we can pop this bottom off. Yep, so it's kind of like a high density rubber coating on some plastic, but basically in here you have an area to pop the SIM in. Let's just try and see if we can get a bit of a zoom on that. Lovely. Yeah, so your SIM slot, not too much space left there at all, but let's pop this back on, because why would we want to mess up such a great looking handset by looking at the inside of it. And that is just a very short, very brief tour of the hardware of the HTC Legend. Very nice it is too.